Welcome, everybody, to episode 64 of the Thundercraps podcast, where we forge through the shitstorm that was WCW Thunder. When there's beautiful women around, I don't mind doing a little sampling. I'm your host, Josh Kaiser, and joining me today, the godfather of soul, Kyle Hoagland.
Okay, so that was Mean Gene who said that, right? That doesn't sound like a Macho Man thing to say.
No, that was totally mean. I'm a pervert, Gene.
Dude, that's you know what? I forgot to do before we usually, peeling behind the curtain. A lot of times, I will send Josh the artwork for this episode for the upcoming episode, and this one is a pretty glorious one, thanks to our boy Mean Gene Okerlund. Actually, I just sent it to you. I don't know if you can look at it right now.
Oh,
but
goodness. He is getting himself an eyeful of Medusa, and you know what? They say if you stare too long at Medusa, you turn to stone. And I got to admit,
probably did.
Mean Gene is rock hard.
Jesus Christ!
That said, welcome in, everybody. Settle in. It is Thunder 64. It is May 27th, Kyle, 1999. We're heading into the summer of WCW in 1999. I don't know if it's going to get much better than it already has.
I think we're just literally like weeks away, maybe a month or two away from the Vince Russo era. Actually,
I don't know if I'd say a month. It's going to be a little bit longer than that, but that's good. I feel like it is coming up quickly. But we are live here tonight. We're Charleston, South Carolina. It's been a little while since we've been live on a Thunder, so that means we're going to get all kinds of good storylines, fresh talent, a lot of great matches. They're just going to bring their A game when they're live here on Thunder, right?
As I like just eye over the top part of my notes, and I'm like, yeah, okay.
We're going to open up this live Thunder. Let's bring out the big hammer, if you will. Our opening bout, Kaz Hayashi and Lash LaRue. That's how we're going to open this up. We also find out that Hugh Morris squashed all the cruiserweights, so they're really doing a good job of burying the cruiserweights here.
And Hugh Morris is a weird choice to squash all the cruiserweights.
Absolutely.
At this point, fuck it, just have Macho Man do it. Macho Man basically is just steamrolling the whole company right now as is. So why Hugh Morris?
Also,
don't forget.
No idea.
Don't forget that Sting is also going to take on Rick Steiner in a cage match. We found that earlier in the show as well.
Out. Yeah, Sting has accepted a big no holds barred cage match with Rick Steiner. We do also find out Charleston, South Carolina, big Larry Zbyszko country. So I will give him props. I give him shit for the Larry chants that are manufactured. This week, they were legit.
Or at the very least, there were. Here's the thing: I'm still convinced that they're manufactured. It's just that they pump. I think they still pump it in, and then just more people in the crowd then start following the pump chants. Because when you first start hearing the Larry chants, I don't see any in the background calling for Larry, but then like 10 seconds later, people are starting to yell for Larry because I think that they're pumping it in.
Maybe you could be right there. But let's get to this crawfish versus sushi match here.
I get it.
It was Larry Zbyszko being subtly racist, maybe. I thought it was a strange match to open the show out, but that's because it's a match no one gives a shit about. They're going to cut to the back as they show Macho Man. He's arrived here unexpectedly, maybe. He's looking for Buff Bagwell. He's going to take Disco Inferno and throw him over a table. Oh, by the way, Disco Inferno is doing his best Scotty Riggs impression as he's got an eye patch. He's also going to throw Scotty Riggs, who is also
had to be right next to him.
Yeah.
I wonder if Scotty Riggs let him. I wish that there was. I wish. All I thought to myself was, why couldn't they do a funny little skit where, okay, here's Macho Man. He just showed up unannounced. Apparently, he wasn't even supposed to be on the show, but he's here looking for Buff Bagwell for reasons I don't even know. He kicked the shit out of him last Thunder. And then I would have been funny to cut it over to the the locker room where, we know that Disco got fucked up by Macho Man, so I guess he's got like a facial injury or something with his eye. And then Riggs is like, "Oh, here, I'm not using this anymore," and he just puts it on. I think that would have been wonderful.
It would have been.
It would have given Riggs at least some sort of personality.
But instead, he makes a comment about breaking a mirror and giving you bad luck. We then cut back to the match. We get a double underhook suplex into a submission by Kaz, which I thought was kind of a unique little segment there. Kaz is going to go to the top rope. Lash LaRue is going to drop kick him to cut off his top rope maneuver. It may have been one of the worst spots I have ever seen. And then Kaz is ultimately going to win this match with a senton type move. I gave the match a star and 3/4. I thought it was sloppy, and also the focus of this was to show Macho Man here, unhinged, looking for Buff Bagwell. I was not invested in this match.
See, I gave it 2.25 stars, and I feel like this match was a victim of Macho Man and the hard cutaway. Which I think it's none of their fault, but you do kind of have to rate it based on the entire production of the match. I didn't think they had a bad match. I had no problems with it. I still laughed at the whole. I liked how we had a dirty Southern Frenchman taking on a Japanese guy, and we got USA chants out of it. And then the ending was fine. I'm glad you said
that. I meant to make a comment about that too because it was pretty funny.
This crowd, by the way, was very unforgiving for basically the rest of the whole night. I think we got "You both suck" chants going on during this match as well. The one thing I will take away from this match is that it was very slow and overly choreographed. Which, remember when you said that drop kick just looked horrible, and once again it was because it didn't look fluid, and that probably has to do with a lot with Lash LaRue and Kaz Hayashi probably not having the same chemistry that we're probably used to in a cruiserweight match. So that was a little bit, which I think I kind of gave that a little bit of a slide. I still think overall the match was an okay start to the show. The crowd seemed to be pretty hot, whether it was just a shit on both guys. But at the very least, I've seen quieter crowds. So at least I had to give it to them that we at least have some sort of activity going on, some excitement for the beginning of the match. And I don't think that this match itself hurt or made it better. But the one thing I always hate is a hard cutaway, because we all know that the whole crowd is looking away and looking at the monitor to watch it as well. And then when it's over, they kind of look back over to the match and they're totally turned off by this match at this point. They went for another 2 or 3 minutes afterwards. Dude, just go to the finish at this point. No one gives a shit.
Yeah, exactly. What people will give a shit about is not our next match either. Prince Iaukea returning. He's wrestling Van Hammer. Van Hammer changed his gimmick up.
I like it. I'll be honest, I like it. I'm fine with it.
He's no longer the peace and happiness. He's got the no peace leather jacket. They said he made himself a very 90s take on his character, apparently. We do find out during this match that Tank Abbott is here, so we're going to have Mike Tenay sell us all on Tank Abbott.
And how outrageous and an unhinged loose cannon.
I mean, the only guy to be ever suspended
renegade
from the UFC.
Yeah.
So
they're really making him into looking like a heel.
Yes, and Van Hammer is going to take a Cobra Clutch Slam for the win here. I gave it 2 stars. I thought it was fine, but I don't want to bury the lead here. Mike Tenay, you dropped the ball. We did not find out that Prince Iaukea was a former television champion. I
cannot believe how 64 episodes, and now it's over. We can easily just end it here. This is the day in history that we realize May 27th, 1999.
I mean, I'd be fine retiring the podcast at this point.
Oh, please say it ain't so. I gave it 2.5 stars. I can't believe I'm saying that, but I actually really like this match with Van Hammer. He looked great in the win. I still feel bad for Prince's decline as it continues. Like you said before, we didn't even recognize him as a former TV champion. Van Hammer has a couple of good. He does have, as shitty of a wrestler he really is, he does have probably 3, maybe 4 decent moves, and he did all of them, including a fucking bear hug. So, and also I did enjoy this match slightly better than the Lash LaRue Kaz Hayashi match, which I gave 2.25.
Yeah, I would. I guess I'd agree with that. I mean, I did rate it higher, so sure. After this, we got our first replay of the night. It's Macho Man taking care of Nash on Nitro, and he's going to put lipstick on him again, so that seems to be his go-to move. We then got Mean Gene. He's in the ring, and he's introducing his guest at this time, the Macho Man. So the big heel comes out to a loud pop.
Well, you know that it's funny when Mean Gene is going to interview a guy who supposedly wasn't even supposed to be on the show, shows up randomly. He's now finally here looking for Buff Bagwell, but yet they have time on a live show to be like, yeah, fuck it, let's just get him in the ring and talk to him.
Hey, when you've got a big star here, let's do it. He said, this is of course where Mean Gene's going to be a pervert, checking out all the ladies. He's then going to interview all the ladies and ask them who their favorite wrestler is for all canned responses on the Macho Man. It was really awkward and it just felt awkward on all accounts.
Did it feel like they were trying to stretch the segment or something?
I don't know. It was just the whole thing just felt off.
If you were to remove that part of the segment and just would have been just what Macho Man had to say to Mean Gene, this would have been a 28-second fucking interview.
Yeah. Ultimately, of course, we do find out Buff Bagwell Savage tonight, which I feel like we just had, and Savage and Nash at Great American Bash.
It was literally last week.
After this, we get our Smash and Slam Wrestlers commercial, then our WCW Saturday Night promo where we find out Hugh Morris, Ray, David Flair are all wrestling, and they got Kurt Hennig and Conan in our main event. We then move to our next match, Ernest the Cat Miller. Every time his music plays, I sit here trying to think, I thought Doink the Clown was coming out or something. He's got some really interesting music here, and he's wrestling Vampiro. But before he gets, of course, Cat's going to get out there, get on the microphone. He's going to call it Scott Norton. So I guess there's a Cat-Scott Norton feud. He calls him Yogi Bear. So for some reason,
it's one of the funniest. I actually remember this particular feud, if you want to call it. All it is that the Cat would wrestle Scott Norton, I think 2 or 3 weeks in a row, and would just get squashed badly on Nitro by Scott Norton. And the Cat just keeps on talking shit to Scott Norton, and then Scott Norton would beat him up in a match and leave. So it's not really a feud as much as it feels like the Cat has amnesia and doesn't know that Scott Norton beats the ever living fuck out of him in every single match, and then he keeps on talking shit to Scott Norton. So it's a feud, but at the same time it's 100% one sided.
Okay, well there's your answer. As for this match, Vampiro's gonna lose. Sonny O kind of interfered, I guess, and there's going to be a spinning heel kick from the Cat. I give the match a 1.75 rating because I really feel like Vampiro shouldn't have been jobbing here, and he's really just not had a strong beginning to his career in WCW at all.
I agree. I actually didn't rate this. I gave it a dud rating. It felt more like a long promo for the Cat just because of how quick this match was. I agree. It was very awkward to put Vampiro in this particular. It could have thrown anybody in this particular in this match, and it still would have done the same job of I guess putting the Cat over. But Vampiro comes out and as if he is this great debut, this new superstar wrestler. He's got the pyro. He's got, the crowd's behind him. It feels oh, wow, this is where Vampiro is going to get over. Also, he dropped the L. He's no longer Spanish. And the fact that, he got a subtle knee to the back by Sonny Ono, takes the feliner and loses. Vampiro did not need to be put in this particular spot at all.
Yeah, it did not. It did him no favors. After this, we go backstage, and we've got Flair, DDP, and Benoit. Benoit's telling Flair that he's in it for himself, and then DDP is going to basically attack Benoit from behind. So Benoit's face here now, and Benoit and Flair and DDP are the heels. We then go to our interview of the night. Mean Gene up at the entrance ramp with Nasty Boy Brian Knobbs.
I feel like Mean Gene has been interviewing the hardcore guys a lot the past 4 or 5 weeks. It's been Rick Steiner and Bam Bam Bigelow, Raven and Saturn. I don't know what it is about this particular time in WCW, but the hardcore division is actually really getting a decent amount of Mean Gene TV time.
Yeah, yes, it has. I feel like they're trying to push it, so this summer they must be releasing the belt soon and all of that. But Brian Knobbs, basically discusses hardcore, says he was hardcore before it was cool. This is going to bring Jimmy Hart out and basically tell remind everyone he's rebuilding the First Family. So if there's ever a stable in WCW that you want to be a part of, it's not the Four Horsemen, it's not the NWO Black and White, it's not the Wolfpack. It is the First Family, and he said the door is open. Brian Knobbs, are you ready to step in? And Brian Knobbs says he is as nasty can be, and I'm going to have to think about it. So,
what a cliffhanger, guys.
Very interesting segment here. Does anybody fucking care about Jimmy Hart, the First Family, Brian Knobbs, or for that matter, even the Hardcore Division?
The Hardcore Division is interesting. I mean, it's at least it's piqued my interest. Now, I just keep on having to be reminded that the First Family is a thing. So, thank you, Jimmy Hart, for at least reminding me that you have a stable. Because I'm sorry, but if you just have like two guys that might tag every once in a while, let's call it a tag team. That's not a stable. You're right now he has two guys that tag every once in a while. You're managing a tag team. You're not managing a stable.
Yeah, exactly. We then go to our second replay of the night. It's Flair talking shit to Piper as he's beating him on the outside of the ring on Nitro, and he reminds Piper that they have a match at Great American Bash. We then come back to our third replay of the night, and it's Curt Hennig on Nitro talking shit about rap, which leads to a confrontation and a brawl between him and Conan. So I guess Curt Hennig is pro country music and Conan is pro rap.
Easily, probably the best part of Curt Hennig's career in WCW is this. It hasn't fully formed, but it's starting. The West Texas Rednecks. That was easily the most entertaining Curt Hennig ever. Even Mr. Perfect.
Oh God, that's
no. As far as charisma and enjoyment, cutting promos.
I mean,
this
that might
is his
be a
best
little
work.
Over the top. Mr. Perfect
no.
was another level.
Look, Mr. Perfect was him as Mr. Perfect was the best in the ring, and once again his 80s promos of him like throwing a football 80 yards and being able to run it down, like that's just hilarious. Like I like that too. But as far as like I think this is easily his renaissance. Like where he really comes back into form of being like a truly entertaining professional wrestler, because I think we know that at this point his wrestling days, I mean he's as far as he's on the twilight of his career, so now he's kind of being more of an entertaining Curt Hennig. And I'm sorry, like I know that might be a what you would call it, a hot take, but I still think the West Texas Rednecks version of Curt Hennig is probably one of the most entertaining parts of his career. Outside of the ring.
Well, okay. I mean, I'll give you definitely outside of the ring, but I don't know. It's a debate. The next match is Conan, though. He'll be wrestling Kenny Chaos of High Voltage. Conan's going to get in the ring, thank Nash and a couple other guys for being his buddies and watching his back lately. And then he tells all those dudes with bananas in their tailpipes to watch out, which Larry Zbyszko's going to ask what banana in the tailpipe means. We'll let you use your imagination there.
Yeah, exactly.
He then says Conan things. As for the match, we're going to get a 10-count punch from Conan. He eventually is going to do a DDT, rolling clothesline, kick to the midsection, face smasher, and shortly thereafter Tequila Sunrise. It was a 2-star solid Conan's enhancement match, and that's about all I want to say about this match.
Yeah, same thing, 2 stars. Didn't start off well. I think Kenny Chaos, threw the worst clothesline I've ever seen in my life, and we've seen bad clotheslines. But I thought the match blended fine in the end and made up for it. This was almost a 1 3/4 match, but I think it got better as the match went on. After
this, we go to commercial and we come back, and there's apparently some issues here on the WWE Network with the tape or the feed or whatever. It does warn you when you first sign into this episode that they tried to save as much and show it in its entirety. Here's where we missed something. We're in the middle of an Evan Courageous Lenny Lane match. We'll find out
how dare they cut off part of this match.
Yeah, this is the match, right? We do find out that Gene is going to be interviewing Tank Abbott later, so nice to see that this unhinged UFC fighter who's got a front row seat is going to get an interview now. But as for the match, We get Lenny Lane and Lodi flirting with each other, I think, a little bit as they start to tease that whole Lenny and Lodi deal. Lenny Lane's going to drop the old crash landing, Kyle, which I'm sure you appreciated. But Evan Courageous is going to win with his, whatever they call his finisher, some sort of courageous move, but it's like a twisting splash off the top. I didn't give the match a rating because we didn't fairly see it all, but I kind of wish I had seen it all because I thought it was okay for the bits we did see.
I mean, I did rate it. I don't know how much of it we missed, but I did give it 2.25. Because I did, for what I saw, I actually like this match more than the Conan match.
Oh, I agree with you there. Yeah,
but I bet I would have enjoyed the match more if I saw the whole thing, which is a shame.
Definitely. After this, we then get our fourth replay of the night. Roddy Piper's getting taped up. He's calling out Flair. And then moves to our fifth replay of the night. Sting and Lex teaming up against the Steiner brothers. And then it actually eventually leads to a monster truck that I think Lex was driving. He pulls it out as they sort of corner the Steiners. So it looks like we might be setting up for a Steiner brothers versus Sting and Lex match in the future, perhaps.
All I thought to myself when I saw this was like, oh my God, please, 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 Lex, double cross Sting. Because that's like the
Coming
biggest WCW trope. No, it's not just that. Yes, the answer is yes, but that is one of the like classic things that happens to Sting in his WCW career, that anytime he ever like pairs up with somebody, someone always fucks him over. So I am really, really rooting for a Lex Luger immediate heel turn for this.
Well, we can wait and see. We then are going to get Mean Gene interviewing Tank Abbott. So Gene's going to come up to Tank and he's going to say, "Holy smokes, it's Mean Gene!"
Yeah, what an asshole.
Which may be the biggest way to bury your monster unhinged UFC fighter than him saying "Holy smokes." But
I guess "Gee golly gosh" would have been a little bit worse, but it's up there.
It's got to be up there. We also find out that Tank Abbott was given tickets. I think he said Kevin, so I'm assuming Nash is who he's referring to. Nash hooked him up with apparently nosebleeds, but he was able to use his.
It was his brother Kevin. His literal brother Kevin hooked him up with tickets.
Okay, well, he was able to use his his name to get him a front row. He's then going to call everyone cherries, which I guess is supposed to be derogatory. And then
Larry Zbyszko didn't appreciate it.
No, he did not. Ultimately, Rick Steiner's going to come out. Tank Abbott, Rick Steiner are going to get into it. So now Rick Steiner is involved in another feud. I
think that's wrestler number 5.
Yeah. He's
Rick Steiner's been real fucking busy in mid 1999.
It's pretty wild. We then get the Bashing Brothers toy commercials. So these are like the wrestling buddies, but they talk to you.
Get off my nose.
We then go to our sixth replay of the night. DDP and Bam Bam Bigelow. DDP demands a tag team title match on Nitro. He's going to get it. This is going to lead to Benoit and Malenko talking to Arn about how Flair basically is in it for him and not the Horsemen. We then kind of see cuts from the match where it looks like Piper is now with the Horsemen and Flair is against him with DDP and Bam Bam.
You know what the funny thing about that whole shtick is? Benoit and Malenko are like all mad because they didn't get one tag title match. I think they've had like 10. And Benoit's had like I think 1 or 2 U.S. title matches while Flair has been in charge. Like, and they get the one time where they don't get a pay-per-view tag title match. Like, go back and look at the card of all the tag title matches and tell me where Chris Benoit and Dean Malenko are not on the card going for the tag titles. This is probably the first one in 6 that they're not in this pay-per-view, discussion for a tag title match. And they're like, "Oh, what the hell? Flair screwed us over." I'm like, dude, like, I know that. I mean, honestly, we're all the historians at this point. We can look back, and I'm sure in May of 1999, maybe not everybody is following that. But if you look at it from, a telescope, you're kind of looking at everything together. Benoit and Malenko have gotten countless tag title matches because they're Horsemen. So shut the fuck up, you two.
Boom. Speaking of one of those Horsemen, Chris Benoit's in the next match. It's Chris Benoit versus DDP, which is a great match on paper, and I feel like it's one they haven't all night. They're advertising this Macho Man Buff Bagwell main event. and here we get in DDP and Chris Benoit. So I'm like, all right, I'm assuming this match is gonna have to end in DQ or no contest or something. The match opens up. Chris Benoit immediately locks on the crippler crossface, so we're off to the races. They battle on the outside. This match gets a lot of time. We go to commercial break at one point. Low blows. All of a sudden, we get the referee looking for a timekeeper, and I'm like, fuck, this match is going to end with the rare time draw finish.
How we see that in every match,
right? Whenever matches start discussing that, I'm like, oh fuck, we're going to get a time limit. But we don't. Chris Benoit is going to do the German suplex. 2 count. He's going to hold it on. German suplex, 2 count. He's going to go for a third one, but DDP is going to do the low blow. He's going to go for the diamond cutter, backslide for a 2 count. Chris Benoit is going to lock the crossface on. That brings Bam Bam out with a headbutt to get the DQ finish. I gave the match 2.5 stars. I thought it was a very good match. They gave it a lot of time, but for Benoit and DDP, I'm fine with it. This was a great match. It felt like it should have been a main event type match, especially for Thunder. I'm fine with the DQ finish. Had they finished it cleanly and I liked the clean finish, then I probably would have rated it like a 3+ star match. But for the whole story they were telling and the match itself and everything, like, this is a pretty damn good match for Thunder.
I definitely agree, and I also agree on the fact that if this match warranted a clean finish, like you said before, and I agree with you. Nobody was going to go over in this match unless it was going to be through nefarious ways. But I would have been surprised if somebody here won the match outright. I gave it 2 3/4. Match of the night easily. They went 16 minutes, good action, decent theatrics and drama, an expected finish. Because once again, DDP is in the world title hunt. Benoit is beginning his face push. I don't think either of them are going to go over. If anyone's going to go over, it's going to be DDP through cheating. I couldn't imagine Benoit just like winning just straight up at this point. So, like I said, I was fine with the DQ finish for sure. But yeah, if there was a different storyline being told, and there was just let's say it's just a match by itself, and one of them just went over cleanly, then yeah, I probably would have given this in the 3-star range.
After this, we're going to move to, there is a post-match. Of course, DDP and Bam Bam do a kind of double-team Benoit, giving him kind of a 2-man finisher combo. But that is going to lead to our main event. It is Macho Man and Buff Bagwell. And not much to say about this match. Miss Madness dropping a great-looking missile drop kick at one point during this match.
Dude, biggest pop of the night was that.
It was a great-looking spot, but that's Molly Holly, so it's expected. Buff Bagwell is going to get put into a trio woe. This is going to lead to pretty much the DQ finish, as Savage is going to, really pull on his neck in this position. Gorgeous George is going to shove a shoe in his throat. They're really strangling his throat with different objects. Nick Patrick, though, grabs a chair and is going to go after Savage with it because he is not a fan of the way Savage is treating Buff here. We then are Savage is going to take the chair. The match is thrown out. This is sort of how the show is going to end. I didn't bother rating the match. I don't know if you want to add anything to the match or not.
I mean, you could have just watched the match from last week. That's the only thing I got really mad about this particular match was,
absolutely.
Okay, if we're going to have this match 2 times in a row, give me something different. Like, this was literally how the match ended last week. And so it was, and we gave no ratings last time or dud ratings last time. I almost want to give this a negative only because how can you have the same main event twice in a row with the exact same formula, basically the same thing script for script, and you made it worse? The only thing about this match that was better was Molly Holly hitting a fucking top rope missile dropkick better than probably Booker T ever could. That was amazing. And so I guess maybe I can't give it a negative because I guess if I went, which match did I enjoy more? It was definitely this one just because of that spot.
Oh, that's fair. That said, that is our show. That is that show. That is Thunder. What did you think about this week's episode?
Sadly, it was an upgrade from last week, which was not saying anything. If just for the Benoit DDP match, there were, but at the same time, there were a couple of highlights to the show. We got Tank Abbott on Thunder. He basically got his introduction on Thunder. So that was interesting enough. I don't think he was on Nitro the week before or anything like that. So that's at least some new development that isn't exclusive to Thunder. So that's something we can hang our hats on. Molly Holly hitting, like I said, a missile drop kick was to the delight of the entire crowd. So definitely enjoyed that. And I once again, it hurts. It hurts every part of me to say this, but Van Hammer looked half decent in a match against Prince Iakea.
I think you're a closet Van Hammer fan. I'm gonna be honest.
No, it's not. It's like the exact opposite. It's like I wish Van Hammer was done already with wrestling, but the fact that he keeps coming back and they keep trying, I'm like, he looked okay here at least. Like it's almost like they're teasing it, like, oh, maybe this will be like the new Wrath match of the night. Which, God, I fucking hope that's not going to be the case. But he's squashing people like he's the next Wrath. But with that said, like those are to me my highlights. That said, though, I'm not a fan of the reliance of all of the women that are trying to help Macho Man get over in his matches. Like it's
so weird to me.
He's the number one contender for the world title, but yet all the matches that I don't think he's won a match since he's been back. He has basically been DQ'd out of every match. He has been relying on his ladies to, get the upper hand, but then he doesn't even win his own matches when they do give him the upper hand. So it's just like in a business where it's like, let's take a look at who is the hot up and comer, or who's the wrestler with the momentum where people want to see them go for the world title. And I'm sorry, I mean, yeah, it's cool that Macho Man's back, but I wouldn't put Macho Man over probably at least 3 or 4 guys minimum that I think would be a bigger draw for the world title at this point. I mean, like I said, I do like Macho Man, but I don't think he's there yet as he's come back. I think he needs a better storyline to be told than just being thrown in a world title mix at this point.
Speaking of, not to cut you off there, but wasn't Hogan supposed to return to Nitro like this past week or the week before?
Yeah, but I think not in a wrestling way.
Well, sure, but don't you think they would have wanted to show something related to that on this show?
That is true. I didn't even think about that.
Well, and I didn't either until we were talking about it when you were thinking of people you'd rate higher than Macho Man as far as draws, and Hogan comes to mind obviously, and I'm like, wait a minute. We haven't seen, you'd think all these replays that at least show Hogan get out there on the microphone and whatever, segment or capacity he was in, but we don't. So,
but do you think right now, if I named like these 5 guys, would you rather see them go against Nash? Right. So I got DDP, Hogan, Goldberg, Sting, and Flair. Even at this point, I'd rather have Flair than Macho Man.
I wouldn't want to see Flair and Nash. I feel like that match is just asking to be terrible. But as far as levels of, draws and stuff, sure. But that's pretty much it. And I wouldn't put necessarily any of those over Macho Man, with the exception of Hogan and actually Hogan and Flair might be the only 2 bigger draws.
Oh, yeah.
Sting right there, I guess, but.
Even Goldberg, I would put Goldberg and Nash again.
That's fair. Yeah, no, I mean, he's right there in the top 5 or 6 draws for WCW, and you have to.
You still want to prep him for it, though. Like there's right now everything they're doing with this storyline of this unhinged Macho Man. The only thing that he's doing right now, he is beating up the world champion and putting lipstick on him. Good for him, but. He's not looking like a guy that wins matches. That's the problem. It's like, if he's going to be the number one contender, I would like to see him not get 2 DQ losses to Buff Bagwell on Thunder. I think that's my main argument is, look, if you're going to use the ladies, that's fine, but go over. And then if you want to beat Buff Bagwell and then cause harm to him later, that's fine. But right now, I don't see in anything that he's done so far that Kevin Nash can't handle. Right now, but going back to the last things I just wanted to say was,
yeah, for sure.
Poor Vampiro, like getting this great entrance and the big pop from the crowd, and he jobs to the cat in 2.5 minutes. Like that's just egregious. That's not even right. I did, like I said, I also get that the Macho Man is more interesting than Kaz Hayashi in a Lash LaRue match. but like I said, I really hate those hard cutaways. You want to split screen it, sure, fine. But all that really did was it 100% turned off the crowd from anything that was going on in the ring. So I think once you do that, you should not sacrifice one product that you're showing to show another product, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying. I understand the concept behind it because they want you to feel like, oh, this is a live thing. Like this is happening. We need to cut away. Breaking news. We've got this deal, and then show that. But it does take away from the superstars. And I'm just not crazy on the way they're portraying Savage. Like, I'm fine making him a heel. I'm fine making him a maniac. This really, the madness, the badass. But I'm not okay with him having to have these women fight his battles for him, kind of. And it's not. It's not kind of though. It is. Yeah, but it's not in a way like. And I guess it's trying to draw cheap heat, but I feel like it's not doing that. Like, and maybe I'm just working myself into a shoot when I say that, but I just do not think it's executing the way it should. If he wants to come down with the 3 hot women, and it's like, God damn, man, that fucking asshole is able to get these hot, all these hot women, and he's a dick. Like, I hate him. Like, that's where I feel like the heat should be drawn. Not, oh, by the way, I need Medusa and Miss Madness and Gorgeous George drop kicking and using shoes and stuff. Like, I think that just weakens him. He's built a stable of women with him, and it just, I don't know. I just don't think it's a good look for him.
I agree. It hurts his cred.
So I don't like the way they're handling that. I loved the Chris Benoit DDP match. That should have been your main event, not to your point, a rehash of what we saw last week, of Macho Man hurting Buff Bagwell. Also, what did Buff do to make Savage just hate him so much that he's going to go multiple weeks just trying to literally break his neck? We're pushing the hardcore division. Tank Abbott's here. I guess some stuff happened on this Live Thunder, but overall, I was disappointed this week.
Well, what's hard is that you have a show that was from last week that was so bad that like we should take all of our shows in a bubble and just say, look, this is what this show was.
Sure.
It was still garbage, but still, us as emotional humans, we still have to look at it and go, well, it wasn't as fucking shitty as last week, I guess.
And that's pretty much what it's been. That said, hopefully our show wasn't as shitty as last week, and actually hopefully it gets better each and every week. And if you haven't yet, let us know that. Leave us a review. Let us know how we're doing. Subscribe, like, follow, tell all of your friends. We are literally 64 episodes of Thunder in. Nobody else has the whatever it takes to record.
Intelligence.
To record 64 reviews of 64 episodes of Thunder. Here we are. It's 99. It's only going to go downhill from here. Vince Russo's here October 1st of 99. I looked it up earlier. So we got a lot still to happen there when it comes to shitty wrestling. Then give us a follow on social media. Tweet at us. Let us know how we're doing. And then go to thundercraps.com, where you can find all of the previous 63 episodes if you, too, don't have the intelligence and want to go watch them all and listen to all of our breakdowns. And then go check out, I think it's like June 7th or 6th or something like
4th.
that. 4th, there we go. It's Thunder 65. Check it out. We'll be back here. We will break it down. For Kyle Hoagland, I am Josh Kaiser, and we will see you next time on the Thundercraps podcast.
We are Yogi Bearingly out of time. See ya.